Navigate to the Legal Entity tab. At the top of all tabs in the spreadsheet is a header that displays the table name, overview, when to send, and special notes. Table name is the actual name of the file being sent. For example, on the second tab, Legal Entity, the table name is STG_LEGALENITY with .csv or other appropriate extension. The header also provides an overview of what is in the file. For example, the Legal Entity tab includes attorneys, adjusters, insureds, claimants, etc. The header also specifies when to send the file. On the Legal Entity tab, we specify to send a record and date every time a legal entity is created or updated, and to include the change date. Under Special Notes, you can also let us know if there is something special about the record, such as if a legal entity has multiple roles. As noted, if a legal entity has multiple roles, you should send a record for each role of that legal entity. Also specified is to send all files for any changed legal entity. You can also use this part of the spreadsheet to list more information on how to handle special situations. The very first row of each file should be a header that includes column headings. This tells us what rows you are sending. Initially, we ask that you send all rows even if you are not filling out some of the rows. Sending all rows assures us that you have purposefully not supplied the empty rows and confirms that the information was not inadvertently left out or missed. The second row should be the start of the data. Legal entity is where we store all the individuals and businesses that are involved in the production or handling of policies, claims, and other data. It might include adjusters, attorneys, claimants, companies, contacts, insureds, other interest, payees, producers, prospects, underwriters, etc. Note the mandatory fields indicated by the X in the mandatory column. There are a lot of fields that are not required. What we marked as mandatory is the minimum required for 4SightBI to operate. However, if you don't supply some information, such as the insured's date of birth, then this information will not be on a report that shows the insured's age. The more information you can supply, the better. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. We are not looking to just get the minimum, because the minimum will give you minimum reporting. The first row is file version, which, as noted on the tab of the spreadsheet, should be coded as 5.0 LENTY. The next mandatory row is source system, which is where the data originated. Next is the extract date. Extract date is normalized to a standard format. You can tell us what format you want to use. Whatever your date format is, we'll put it into the validation configuration so that the validation process will test for your date format. Be sure to follow this date format for all date fields. The first three rows, file version, source system, and extract date, will appear in most every file. Next is legal entity sequence. This ties with the unique ID below. For example, assume you had an insured name record put into your system in the morning named Jim Shoes. That's spelled G-Y-M Shoes. And then there's an endorsement modifying the insured name record in the afternoon to Jim Shoes, spelled J-I-M Shoes. We want to know the sequence in which these two events occurred. When you send us an insured name change, you should send through the entire record again, not just the differential. If this change occurs on the same day, we need to have them sequenced so we know for sure that on this day it was Jim Shoes, G-Y-M, and then in the afternoon it changed to Jim Shoes, J-I-M. There is another field which could tell us the time when this record was changed, but a lot of systems don't have the exact time sequence. The next row is the legal entity unique ID. Unique IDs are found in most every file. These unique IDs are our primary and foreign keys throughout the entire system. To accommodate many systems, this is a 100-character field. You can use it as a combination of values. For example, if you don't have a unique ID for insured, you can use a combination of their address, date of birth, or something else. In the next row, we have legal entity parent unique ID. This is one legal entity referencing another. Example, if you have an individual agent that belongs to an agency, the parent unique ID would be the agency. Rather than go into too much detail on all the fields, we will now go to a high level into some of the fields on each of the tabs. Please contact us if you have specific questions on other fields. Scroll down to the legal entity change date, row 48, which is the day and time that the legal entity record changed. Whether it's a name change on a producer, we use the term producer since you could be referring to brokers, wholesalers, agencies, etc., or whether it's something like a telephone number change, if you send the date of the change, we will know when the change took effect. We have date change fields like this throughout the system so we can accurately recreate history. Thus, if you run the same report for today, 10 years from now, with the same date range, you'll get the exact same values. This way we can represent everything at any point in time. Note, the change date can either be the entry date or the accounting date. The idea is that the change date must be less than or equal to the accounting date in the policy or claim transaction record.